Top of the morning, laddies. My name is Chaz, and welcome to the What If Kevin 11 Was in My Hero Academia. And I am going to use his name as a pro hero name, but his real name is. Well. Or actually, Kevin 11 would be his real name, but as his hero name is Dangerous or Disaster. So, yeah. And just to clarify, this is not a same Kevin 11 from like Ben 10 series, but this is Kevin 11 from What If Kevin 11 Was in My Hero Academia. So, yeah. So, after all that new parts of like My Hero Academia, like old parts, like they got to adults and became pro heroes things. Yeah. And they introduced new characters. Some of them don't want to because because some of them think it's a waste of or throw their own lives away, as only one person is strong enough. Is Kevin 11. And this one is different from his Ben 10 counterpart. He is much more mature, and he also has the same powers, but he can, or his powers are actually infinity, so he basically controls the entire universe, multiverse, and Zero. So, yeah. So, and only 3 other students wanted to go to UA, as they agree, as it was Ares, that water boy, and I forget his name, but the one that is in a movie. So he ends up going in, or they all go to UA. They really haven't met each other in person yet, so this is a new experience. So he did a written part of their test, and so he says, this is going to be fun, as the music Mike was telling them about the rules, just to kick the robot butt, but keep the damage to a minimal, okay? As Kevin 11 raises his hand and says, can we use like full power, like not hold back? Yes. Because these aren't real villains, okay? Okay. It's a good question. So, as some of the pro heroes are like a little bit shocked that he knows the rules real well. As it begins, as he says this is going to be fun, as he goes in, he literally like went in his monsterish form, and it like he literally took out all the 1-pointers, 2-pointers, 3-pointers without, or it's like a blink of an eye. It's done. As, I did keep a damage to a minimal. As they're like, leave us some, you jerk. Sorry. As some or most of the pro heroes, like Ochako, couldn't believe how strong Zook or Kevin 11 is. Like, they couldn't believe he's power level. So yeah, his power level is, they had power thing, but it reached infinity. So he was more relaxed than anyone. As that's, some of them are a little bit startled, but Ares and him and the third accepts him. Like, they couldn't believe that he actually did. As a 0-pointer came, as he says, as he used his, like, tendril things, pierced right into the ground, as he opens his hands up and, like, aimed right at the 0-pointer, and it sent such a bad shockwave that the 0-pointer exploded with, like, a force of a hydrogen bomb thing. Yeah. He knew that, as when he activated his power, a 0, he created an invisible dome that no one could see. So they, like, looked, and there was nothing there. Like, buildings are still there, but the robot wasn't there. As he says, that was fun. As, yeah, there was actually, he says, there's 3-pointers over there, like 2 of them. Or 3 of them. As they all, like, did that. As they got into UA. As class 1A students. Top students. So, yeah. And actually, there was another student, was KJ. He's more focused on quick attacks. And they both, like, or it's actually, KJ is actually Kevin Levin's brother. So, yeah. So they know. So he basically knows how strong his brother is. So, yeah. Some of them are like, oh, that's cool. How he. So, yeah. So they do the same thing that they have witnessed through, or went through. So, yeah, the villains, or heroes versus villains, as they know who Zuko was, as yeah. Zuko in this timeline thing, or in this future thing, he is the symbol of peace. So, yeah. As Zuko, or him and, or no, sorry, Kevin 11, I almost did my own intro again. So, yeah. So, Zuko looked like more like him, or looks just like the same thing as Kevin 11, but he was wearing like All Might's outfit with. So, yeah. And he walks in as he tells the students that it's combat abilities time. So, yeah. Zuko's. Or, he said, yay. There's only 4 students, 2 on per team. Huh. Yep. It looks like you're a smart one of the bunch. What's your name, by the way? Oh, as he says, my name is Kevin 11. Friends call me that because I usually look like the Ben 10 character when I get mad. But that's okay. As KJ says, yeah, I only saw him once got mad, so mad that someone looked at him. So yeah, as he was in his hero outfit. It was a stretchable, like, outfit, like that. So yeah. So they decide to do just one-on-one to see if. So Kevin 11 against KJ. Hey. And then Aries against. Wait, hold on. It was 5, so yeah. So 3 versus 2. Make it more balanced is because KJ's powers are almost as similar to his brother, so yeah. He ends up, or they both like really smart ones. So Aries and them are like, maybe you're right. We should have you, Kevin 11, on our team and make it more balanced. As Zuko says, yeah. As they, like, trade off 1 for 1. So, yeah. So they decide. And so all 3 of them went into the building. To, like, protect the bombs area, as they're being the villains, and two people will be the pro heroes. So yeah, so all three of them were in on each floor. As Ares decides to tell Hammond you'll be the front runner, and him will be the singer one, and then I'll be the one near the bomb area. Okay. As he's a heavy hitter. So yeah. So KJ tells the other guy, I keep forgetting his name, the one from Heroes Arises, or Two Heroes, or Heroes Arises one, with his sister. So he tells him that only if they probably are smart enough to put my brother on the front lines, because he's the one giant obstacle by himself. As they're like, what do you mean? Or actually, his sister says that. Or, hold on, give me a moment. Those two. So, they made it more even. So, it's 3 versus 3 thing. So, yeah. So, when they looked, so he says, wait, your brother's pretty powerful, right? How strong or how powerful is he? As he tells them that one time he was trying to grab a ball, but he did look both ways, but some random jerk with a semi-truck tried to run his butt over, but he ends up taking care of him real quick. Like, he slams right into it. So, yeah. And sorry for that wait thing. I was trying to grab the images. So, yeah. So, he is like, oh boy. Okay. And they walked in, and they were basically like weary, because he knows, or KJ knows his brother too well. He would rather be like on guard duty, and how big his arms are. It's hard for anyone to get around them cramped area. So yeah, he was in his monster form. As he walks towards where they were at, as this must be your brother right here. Okay, how will we get past him? As he says, you're too late, heroes. As he decides to, build on a brick wall. And, like, yeah. So they're like, holy crud, he knows what he's doing. He's not like Bakugo or anyone that we ever encountered. He's as yeah, the someone as Zuko tells, or actually Nezu tells them that Kevin Levins is too powerful for it. And yeah. So he basically, when they showed his true power, and Nezu tells them that he's the based off of his files things, he will be the great target thing and the most dangerous pro hero that we ever have on our team. As they're saying, wait, what do you mean dangerous pro hero? As Zuko explains, or Nezu explains what it is about his power, or about Kevin Levin's power. So he ends up telling them that Kevin Levin was basically, as they tried to do, like, they literally broke the wall. Oh, and yeah. So yeah, the villains win automatically because of the heavy hitters. So, because he says, it's just a training, so I'm not. As, yeah. So they are like, you're so, or like, his brother even says, you're too kind, Heart. Well, it's just for training, and if it was a real battle, I won't go easy. So then, now it's USJ thing. He starts training harder. Like, yeah, so it's a small group, so yeah. He starts training, or like rescue things, and then I am skipping the ball throw because they threw the ball, and like, so yeah, they're like, But in this story, this is a different from the main storyline. So yeah, one day some random villain just came out of nowhere, like, ha ha ha. Or actually, I forgot to mention, I am throwing in his like sister, or no, I'm throwing in some random villain. So yeah. So yeah, the villain decided to capture all the like pro heroes and the students except for him, except for Kevin 11. As because at the sports festival, they see what he can do. If he, because he did the same thing as like Escanor does, but his fireball could turn into a rainbow colored, and like as he says, ultimate cruel sun. As yeah, some of them are like a little bit shocked, but all the villains didn't want to mess around with him, so they decide to capture everyone else except for him. As he was running late, as he went to school, and he looked around all over the school, and he sees nobody at school. Like, this is weird. Is it summer already? As they're like, or as he, but as they're like trying to say, what are you gonna do with us? As the villain says, well, my plans are simple. To take out UA. And then, who knows? Then take over the world. As they're like trying everything, but nothing works. So, the villain said, or actually, funny part was the KJ doesn't remember his sister, so but Kevin 11 does, because and that villain was his sister. As she says, well, so ready to fire it at, because my power is infinity. As he looks, or as she looks at KJ and says, same thing as our brother. As her name starts with Kendo, or some random name, just adds a K in it. So Kendo, or yeah, Kendo is a different kind of Kendo, or I don't know if so. Yeah, so KJ remembers his sister now because she always been like trying to. So she decides to say goodbye to UA. As she throws, or like she literally launches 5 nukes or 50 nukes at UA. And like, some of them couldn't believe that their brother is in there. Or KJ says, our brother's in there. You know him and real well. He might not make it, but that's okay. As they're like, as Kevin Levin saw the nukes coming at him, or right at the building, so he was outside. So when he saw it, as he became he used his own, eye thing. That's not just his fashion thing. It's actual eye. As he opens it up, or opens his eye thing up, and he ends up absorbed the entire thing into it. As he goes where they launched to, he basically took care of his sister, and and saved everybody. As they're like, well, it was before the internship, so he can never decide on it. As Sarah was late, so they're like, no need. Anywho, okay. So, they were pretty powerful. Toga was, Toga was looked at Kevin Levin, and she knows that he's, of course, so she decides to date him. So now Zuko, they as a villain, another villain that was all angry and all that stuff. So, Zuko, Kevin Levin saw him, and he knew who he was. The one that was his friend, but since, as he tells everybody to get out of here before her, as they're like, okay, as they start running, as he becomes like what Escanor was, but at the fullest power. He literally wasn't holding back. As they could feel the heat waves, as Kevin or KJ says, okay, better to go back to UA quick. As they agree, as Bakugo says, oh heck no, I'll stay. As KJ says, well, it's your funeral. Once my big brother, or once our big brother gets mad, nothing can stop him. You know that, right? As his sister says, yeah. And by the way, I wasn't trying to be villain, but that guy that our brother has a grudge against forced me to. I wanted to go to UA. As I'm being honest with you. As Nezu says, okay. So, and then Kevin 11 went full on Super Saiyan. Like, he wasn't holding back at all. So he literally punched a villain so hard that even like tore him to shreds. It was a remix of like All Might versus All for One. But when Kevin 11 went Super Saiyan like that, they knew that they don't want to end up in those crosshairs. Even Bunny Girl is agreeing with the KJs. As they saw how powerful he really gets when not holding back. So, yeah. He starts attacking rapidly. Like, his stance was so, like, that he ends up killing the friend that turned his sister into, like, a villain. Or tricked her to becoming, or like manipulated her. As yeah. So he basically, as when he came back, his shirt was all like ripped, but he sure does. As KJ says, huh? Yeah, I agree. As they all saw his power, they weren't messing, or he wasn't messing around. So, yeah. How about the big four? As Aries suggests, you, me, him, and. Or how about a big five? Okay. As they both. Yeah. As they were. As his. But before. As they said, okay. They were like, what should we do with her? I think you put her behind bars. As right before before she even says bars, Kevin 11 stands right in front of them as he says, you will not do such a thing. And if anyone argue with me, don't tempt me. As they know, don't tempt him. So, yeah, he was pretty scary. As Bunny Girl says, I like that man, or that boy right there. He's so, like, focused on the mission, or, okay? As he turns around, walks up to his sister, and tells her that you want to join the UA. I'm more happy to. Okay? As they all agree with his, he is more like a leader than he treats everyone equals. As, yeah, Zuko basically agrees with them. Like, they couldn't believe that he acts like a leader more than anyone. So yeah, Todoroki even is surprised that usually pro heroes are leaders, but him being a leader and like helping the villain or fake villain and to becoming a hero. So yeah, he they all know that he's just protecting his sister. As yeah. So they got into UA. As they'll be in or she's being in class 1A with rest. So yeah. So then they they all like, holy crud, he acts more like a leader than everyone does. Huh. As Bunny Girl is telling like All Might that that there's a leader right there. As he has really high hope, or they all have high hopes for him to being a leader. As so, I hope you're right. As they actually one day some random guy used his quirk, made a giant nuclear missile, and threw it, but Kevin 11 caught it with one of his tendrils and absorbed the entire explosion. So yeah. So now, and like he was a leader. He cares about his comrades. And he doesn't like be selfish as the his Ben 10 counterpart is. As yeah, he trains harder on his multiple powers. So yeah. And his quirk was revival. So yeah. But then and he can see into the futures. That's or see into the other universes too. As one day when he asked, what can you do, like, for your powers? Or as the entire class is asking Kevin 11 what he can do, I can do many other things. With my tendrils things, I don't just do electricity shoots. As he can, or he made a TV, set it down, and like plugged it in, and which multiverse do you want to see? As they they asked, okay, how about the original time, or the, or I don't know, do like kaiju number 8 ones? As they said, sure. As it's a multiverse, so they see a different universe, and he and when they saw Zuko transformed into a kaiju thing, like all that stuff, as pro heroes were, they couldn't believe that as they could see, literally could see all my, or they all see like what will happen in different like universes. So yeah, Zuko and the rest of them agreed that they so and Toga decides, because I know she's a villain, she decides to go and ask him to go on a date with her. As she does, as as of course one of the students actually decided to go, asked him out. Like, of course, Zuko or Kevin Levin was the same age as, like, them. So, Ares decides to go, asks him out. And she says to both of them it would be a double date for them. As he's embarrassed, as they finally decided to say, okay, as, yeah, Toga decides to, like, try to kill Heaven 11 off, but they all know that they are trying to keep him away from Toga. But Toga, instead of like stabbing him like she does normally, but he ends up having her actual true love thing. So she ends up kissing him, not like stabbing him, but kisses him actually, and they ended up, of course, Toga was she is like a little bit more adult one, so she ends up does that to the, or actually, yeah. So Ares decides to go on a date with Kevin Levitt. And of course they have so much in common than everyone else. So they decided to get married. So they got married and they had 2 kids. Yeah. They both had, like, they learn about their powers, their quirks, things. So, yeah. And they usually watch the multiverse together. So, yeah. It's just weird. So, yeah. Then, like, everybody else is like, okay. And this is the end of the video. And please leave a like, share, subscribe, and comment before. And I just when I dreamt this up of how it will play out in my head. So, yeah. Peace out, Cub Scouts, and if you want me to do more of these what ifs, please leave a like, share, subscribe, and comment of what if you want.